Grandma needs funds for adventures past and future. You could send your donations too. I'm Grandma, also known as JC. Uh, I'm not going to disclose my age, but I come from the early 50s. I was born and raised in San Francisco, had lots of fun, want to share it with y'all. And my good buddy Scott here is teaching me all about this new podcast.
Yeah, I am Scott. Yeah, so welcome to the very first and hopefully not the last episode of Getting High with Grandma.
I'm ready.
Yeah. So yeah, I met Grandma about a year and a half ago. That's about right, right?
About that.
Yeah, and over the last year and a half, we just became really good friends, and she has fascinating stories.
I put him to work.
Yeah, she's actually, she saved my ass a few times. Oh. So yeah.
So what's happening, Scott? I hear you had a little adventure this morning.
Oh yeah, had to go to court, and I haven't been to court since I was a kid.
Isn't that a learning experience?
It's not the judicial system; it's the judicial industry.
It's been that way for a long time. And God knows, I think it's been going on before me even, because from my experiences in court,
Yeah,
it's a sham.
it is.
It's a sham. You're not innocent until proven guilty. You're guilty until proven innocent. And it's all about the money.
And they're all on the same team. They all are part of the bar association.
They're all in cahoots. They've got it all mapped out. They've got it all in their mind what they're going to do before they even met you.
Yeah.
Read your file or any other thing, okay?
I'm just grateful I've got a court-appointed attorney that I don't have to pay for, because I would be broke given, okay, show up, wait for them to call your name, and spend less than a minute to postpone something or push something out. If I was paying for that, holy crap. Why can't I just show up and do it?
I had a little court experience, and my lawyer, who was a paid-for attorney, basically he told me, you can't, I wanted to go to trial. He wanted me to cop a plea. I said, oh no, I'm going to trial. I have every right for a trial, right? He says, you know what? You can't afford me through a trial. And I thought, what? So I went back into court and I told the judge that I now wanted a court-appointed attorney. He says, you have already proven the means to pay for an attorney. I said, no, this attorney just right out told me I cannot afford to keep him employed. Too bad. Too bad.
That's
so
horseshit.
sad.
That's
Yeah.
such messed up. Oh, I don't get it. It's the cards are stacked against us,
Absolutely.
and it's
Well, it depends. It might be your turn to win.
it shouldn't be a lottery.
No, but it's there. What I think is just my personal experience, which hasn't been a whole lot, but from my experience, it's they have their own little game to play, and they're playing like you won the last two, so this one's mine, right? Or
We're not looked at as human beings. We're looked at as pawns in a game. Here, okay, so we'll make each other's jobs as easy as possible. Screw the truth, or what, you know what I mean? Oh,
do you know how many people are sitting in prison with stories? Oh my gosh. Oh my God. Prison systems are, first of all, you're not accomplishing anything when you lock somebody up for 40 years. Let's just say 40 years, okay? And he does half time, 20 years. 20 years later, what do you think this person's going to be when they get out of prison?
Oh, I don't understand how we let them privatize it. It's slave labor. That's what it is. They make so much money off the labor of inmates who don't get shit.
They make money. No, see what their game is. Yes, they're privatized, but they get funding from
Also,
the government.
yeah.
Yeah, also.
They're double dipping.
Okay. And so the name of the game is the more prisoners they have, the more funding they're going to get. Okay? So it's at least in California, it's where I'm from. And so it's a revolving door. They've got it all set up that by the time you get out, they've got all these restrictions on you. You've got to report to this probation officer. You have to have a job. You got to pee clean. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to pay restitutions. You got to have fines. And the minute you cannot do any of those
It's
things,
a violation.
it's a parole violation, and back to prison you go. So that it's kind of set up for you're set up for failure. They used to have, I don't know if they still do, they used to have what they call halfway houses.
Oh, I think they still have them.
And if you were a drug offender, they would allow you to leave prison before your time, but you had to complete your time in this halfway house, right? Well, these halfway houses are usually set up right next to a liquor store, or they're in the worst neighborhood with every drug dealer there is. This house itself are full of addicts, okay? And all they want to do is get out of prison just long enough to get high. So you get out with good intentions, and your intentions are really to do things right and stay clean and da-da-da-da. How are you going to do this with all this other
temptation?
Temptations and it's right there. And so, my ex used to tell me, he says, don't do it. They offered that to me, and he said, don't do it. It's a game. It's a joke. They're going to just violate you and throw you back, and then they keep adding on to your time each time you go back.
They bury you.
Okay, so, yeah, it's a losing game.
It's funny, you made me think of back when I sold cars with this guy named Bobby. He was like a real-life cowboy. He came to work right after he'd got out of prison, 8 years for bank robbery. This dude was a family. His wife was a CPA. He had 2 kids. One was like a genius. You know what I mean? A normal guy.
Sure.
Yeah, but he was a bank robber.
Oh yeah, my ex-husband was a robber. He robbed banks. He robbed liquor stores. Out the funny story is he was arrested for his last robbery, and they pulled the witnesses in court, and the DA's telling them he was a horrible man, right? He was armed with a gun. And the witnesses kept going, yeah, but he was a real nice guy. DA's going, what do you mean? They says, well, he came in, he was very nice, he had a smile on his face.
Didn't threaten anyone?
He had a gun in his hand, but he asked politely for the money, and we gave it to him. But weren't you afraid for your life? Well, no, not really. He was kind of a nice guy, so just because you're a robber.
Yeah.
Just because you do crimes doesn't make you...
He was robbing from one of the biggest robbers there are. The banking institution. That's crazy. My buddy who was a bank robber, he said what he used to do was he had like a crime barometer. He would go into like Fred Meyer's or Albertsons or something, and those rotisserie chickens. He'd grab one and walk out the door. If he walked out and nobody messed with him, he'd go rob a bank. If someone stopped him, he'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, and pay for it or whatever and get out of it. But then he wouldn't rob a bank that day.
Oh, I went to school with the guy who, we were in, it was junior high school.
Yeah.
And he was a little off anyway, okay? Took a lot of psychedelics, I think. But he went into the bank on school lunch break, and he robbed the bank and stuck money in the trunk of his car and went back to school. Well, yes.
This was a student?
Sure. And yes, they had video cameras back then, and they had a picture of his car, but they're trying to run these plates, and they're not registering it because he was a minor, okay? And he went back to school and he stuck this money in his school locker and went to class.
That's genius.
Well, that's crazy.
It is, but it's genius.
Well, yeah, but he ended up that gave him enough time to run his information, find out who he was, and of course, the first thing you're going to do is go to school, right? I told him, I said, Tim, I says, are you crazy? I says, if I was you, I would have drove straight to the airport and fucking got on a plane. Okay?
How much did he get?
Oh, probably only a couple grand. I'm not sure.
But back then, a couple grand, not saying anything, but
it just, I wouldn't have, a couple grand was better than going to YA, okay?
Hell yeah. And that's the time when you're a minor. Do it then.
I think he ended up doing a couple years in YA, which is Youth Authority.
Yeah.
You know, and...
well, that's what pisses me off about my court stuff is, yeah, I was a low-level criminal in my 20s, you know what I mean? Or I wasn't a criminal, but I broke the law regularly, you know what I mean? And I'm an upstanding person now. I'm a dad. You know what I mean? And I'm not a criminal, and now I got to deal with all this shit. You know what I mean? I could totally understand
just karma.
Yeah, you're right. That's bad juju from back in the day.
For all the things that you got to look at it like this, and this is how I looked at my arrest too. For all the things you got away with prior to, okay, this is nothing.
Yeah. A debt's being called in.
Well, no, it's just a little learning lesson that, that's to put your ego in check, okay? Just to let you know that...
That's crazy you say that, because the last few months I've come to realize that it's so important to get humbled. You know what I mean?
Oh, I still, every time I get a little flaw here and there, I'll go, that makes up for what you did when you were 20.
It's kind of like when it snows here. You know what I mean? The first week, I'm cautious as hell, like I should be. You know, I'm careful, and then I'm get comfortable, and then after a while, I'll get cocky with driving in the snow and ice.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? And then I'll get a little cocky, and then I'll like start sliding fishtail, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you're a bad driver. I've seen you drive.
The stick, man, I haven't drove a stick since high school, man. I wish I like that car, though. I'm good, thanks. But the stick, man, it's so much work when you're driving.
It is. That's why I can't drive a stick anymore because of my bum hip and back. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't do that clutch. Of course, they say the clutches now are a lot better than they used to be, but I still don't want to.
It's work.
But it's good in the snow.
I had a friend ask me to take him to DMV in Bend, and I was like, yeah, I can do that. And on the way there, we saw a car fire on the other side of the road. Huge, just engulfed in flames, this van. And I was like, cool, it should be all cleared up by the time we got done. Things went way quicker. We're on our way back. And the stop and go in the clutch going up the Lava Butte.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. I'm like, oh, I hate this car right now.
I learned to drive a clutch in San Francisco. Okay. We had driver's ed, and it was 3 on a column. Okay.
I've never driven one of those.
And we've had, we had probably 4 students in a car. And each one got their turn to drive. Right. So I'm driving up Powell Street, and the driver instruction says to me, he says, you see that stop sign at the top of the hill? I said, yeah. He says, well, whatever you do, do not stop at it. He says, you roll to the top, then stop, and then go through. Otherwise, you are going to burn up the clutch, okay? And, yeah, driving a clutch in San Francisco was a trip.
Ooh. Oh my gosh, yeah, I didn't even think about that.
It was fun.
My dad made me learn on a clutch. Now, I have a question about the 3 on the tree. Is the clutch on the floor?
No, it's on the column.
But you don't have to push anything on the floor to shift. You just shift.
No, you had a
You had
clutch.
to push in the clutch.
Sure.
Oh, whoa.
Sure.
See, I thought you just kind of like pulled back and went.
No, it's just instead of being on the floor, it was on the column, and it was they say 3 on a tree because it was reverse up, drive second, neutral third.
Have you ever driven a motorcycle?
Yeah, once. I don't like motorcycles.
I'm not a big fan either, but I wish I want to learn how because my brain tells me I can't do the foot shifting. Like that would be hard for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to learn too because they say down in Mexico.
Oh, you can get a scooter.
Yeah, that's the way to get around because.
Get a little Vespa.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I envy you.
Too bad I can't ride Chumley.
X could throw a saddle on him. Wow.
I'm gonna get a smoke.
All right, you do that. Oh. Fantastic.
Yeah. So what else is going on now?
Well, oh yeah, we're going to my mom's for Thanksgiving.
Yay, Thanksgiving's coming. I love Thanksgiving.
I do too, actually.
It's one of my favorite holidays because I like to think I can cook.
Oh, you can. I hate your food. It's delicious.
It depends. It depends on my mood, you know.
And that's what I try to tell X when I cook. It's not always, it's a lot. More often than not, it's good now than not being good.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, one year when I moved up here, and I moved up here from Sacramento, and I moved alone.
Did you like Sacramento?
No.
It's a shithole, I heard.
Well, it's not a shithole, but I left San Francisco. I struggled for 32 years to get out of San Francisco, okay? It just had to be. I wanted to buy a home, first of all. And buying in San Francisco was just not in my cards, okay?
Unless you're a tech giant.
Something, okay? Or like some of my relatives, you know, they've got it. So anyway, I transplanted, as we say, from San Francisco up to Sacramento. And I put in my career with the city of Sacramento.
That wasn't the cable?
No.
That was...
No, I was working as an underground locator for the city of Sacramento. So, anyway, Sacramento was okay. It was country. It was affordable living. I mean, it was country compared to San Francisco.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, you know,
the hippie capital of the world.
Yeah, you know, so you gotta, that's why I had to tell you where I'm from and what, because it makes sense. But anyway,
and I swear you sound like you're from the East Coast.
I know, I get that a lot.
It cracks me up.
I don't know.
Certain terms or words, it just sounds like...
My mother used to call it a Mission Street slang. In San Francisco, the main road is Mission Street, okay? San Francisco is divided into... every culture has their own neighborhood, okay? There was the Puerto Ricans... the
Chinatown.
Mexicans, Chinatown, and my neighborhood was basically Eastern Europeans. They were Italians or Yugoslav or Russian, okay? So where the New York or East Coast accent comes from, I don't know. Mother called it a Mission Street slang. I can't explain it, but it's just part of who I am. So anyway... Sacramento, yeah, I had
How long did you live there?
I was in Sacramento for 16 years.
Wow.
Until working for the city of Sacramento. I was out in the middle of the street locating a job. I had my flashers on, had my safety cones out, and I'm out there marking utilities and another city employee.
I can't believe. Sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but
Another city employee blows through the construction zone. They figure about 50 miles an hour. Hits me with the 10-ton truck. Said he didn't know what he hit, and he puts the truck in reverse and backs over the top of me.
how the hell are you alive?
I'm just stubborn, okay? I'm just stubborn. I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. So, they disabilitied me out, and I was pissed off.
Why?
Because, number one, yes, they disabilitied me out, but you know what? Their payoff didn't mean anything for the pain. Okay.
Oh, you still suffer from it.
I still suffer from it. Not only that, but it also made me unemployable. Okay, it's because of my pain. So.
How long ago was that?
That was in 2006. So. I was mad, and like I told my mother, Mom, I cannot sit here and watch the city of Sacramento operate and not be pissed off about it every single day. Okay? I said, I just can't do it.
You liked your job too, didn't you?
I loved my job. Not only did I love it, but I was very good at it. Very good at it. I had a 98% accuracy, okay, and that was unheard of. I had contractors call and request that I come out and mark their sites because I was that good, So, so I was really upset about losing that job, and, but...
And if you would have retired out of that, you know what I mean?
I could have worked, till I was 65, 70 years old, who knows, but we won't know, and that's how life goes, okay? Things happen for certain reasons, and I told my mother, I can't stay here, my family's in Sacramento. I says, I'm sorry, but I've got to go,
If I had to describe you, hustler, but not in the bad sense, you know what I mean? Like, you're a hustler, you're a survivor.
I'm a survivor, and yes, I have been a hustler all my life. I was out on my own at 15 years old.
When I mean hustler, I mean you hustled and got your money.
I hustled.
You were always about your money.
It was always about the money, okay? And reason being is because I knew that I needed that to survive, okay? With my personality, the chances of me having a successful marriage and being tied to some husband are slim and none. Okay, so I always knew that I needed a job that made me enough money that I could be self-supporting. Okay, and it started out in San Francisco. As I started saying, I was out on the streets at 15. My parents got a divorce, was ugly divorce.
And how many siblings do you have?
I have 6 siblings, well, 5. I'm number 2 out of 6 children.
Holy shit.
But when they divorced, my father was going to get remarried, and I mean, we could go into that for days. But bottom line was, he told me, have a nice life, He was going to get remarried, and he had fought for custody of me only, and my mother gave it to him, and he dumped me on the streets at 15, said, I told him, I says, I have no problem with you getting married. I have no problem with Judy. I'm not going to make any...
You've always been an old soul.
Well, you know what it is.
I think that's why you like X, because...
Not only have I been, I don't know if it's an old soul, but I've always been a stubborn soul. And, of course, when he said that, I said, fine, I'll hit the streets. I'll do it on my own. I will make it. I will survive. And I did.
Do you resent him for it?
Oh, sure. I'm sure I do.
But don't you look at it as some future stories we'll get into? You wouldn't have been able to navigate that shit without that experience.
That's true. He made me a very tough like I told him a long time ago, I says, you know what you've done? You have created a personality in me that no man is going to deal with, okay? Not only no man is going to deal with, but most women wouldn't be able to deal with, okay? So, you know, I've been an oddity, but my whole goal in life was to survive, and to survive on my own doing. I didn't want somebody else to support me. I didn't want to be indebted to somebody for...
You didn't want to play the game.
No, I don't like to play games. I don't have time to play games. I got lots of adventures to do in life. I've had lots of adventures, and here I am now, 63 years old, and I'm not done yet.
And that's what amazes me about you, listening to your stories and everything you've done and seeing how you live your life now. You know, you walk your dog every morning. You're like, I can't do shit until I walk chums.
Priorities, okay?
But you were in amazing shape.
Well,
for even getting hit by a truck and backed over.
I know, and I just had thumb surgery, and boy,
Yeah.
I really did not expect the pain.
Like the recovery and all that?
Just the pain from the surgery alone, okay, until he explained, he says what he did, you know, and then I realized, oh, of course it's gonna, you know, they actually cut out a piece of the bone.
Yeah.
And put a metal split. Kind of looks cool. It has like a little sponge cushion on the end. But what the pain was from was the tendon in the arm. They had to pull the tendon down to cover this new thumb, and I went, oh, I was just not prepared. I thought I was pretty tough, and I could handle a lot of, if I could be run over by a 10-ton truck, I could handle thumb surgery, right?
It sounds pretty innocuous, like pretty little.
Oh.
I have so much respect for people like surgeons and stuff. I could not do that. Look at the inside of somebody's arm and pull. Oh my gosh.
I wish I could.
Oh, yeah.
I always wanted to be the veterinarian, the zookeeper, you know.
I could totally see you being that.
Yeah, well, too bad I didn't have... Oh, you wanted to hear the story. I brought home, I'm in 2nd grade, and we had to do a report of what you wanted to be when you grow up. And then on top of it, your part of the assignment was that you had to... do research and find which college would be the best for you to go to be this career.
Yeah.
So I did this big report about how I wanted to be the zookeeper, veterinarian, and I even illustrated it, and I got an A+ on it. And that was unusual for me to get an A. All right, so I brought it home, and I showed it to my dad, and he's reading this report, and he says, UC Davis. UC Davis, he says, if you have any plans on going to UC Davis, he goes, I suggest you start saving your money now, because that's a mighty expensive school. I said, what? Aren't you going to help me with college? He goes, are you kidding me? He says, at 18, you are getting luggage, packed luggage with an eviction notice on it. That's what you're getting.
And you even got it before then.
Well, yeah, so my whole attitude is, if that's all I got coming, I might as well leave now, okay? What the hell am I sticking around for? Shit.
Yeah.
You know, so off I went and hit the streets. And
I wonder how many, like, veterinarians and... like specialty field people who go to school for a long time to be able to do that job and then get in the debt they get in, if it's worth it to them after the fact.
No, usually people like that come from money. Okay, they come from money. You can't. When I was going to college and taking a few preliminary courses to do this, you know, they had a option to work as an intern at the San Francisco Zoo for 2 years. Free. You're going to work for free. Who can afford to work for free? and go to school and pay for school too. No, that's somebody who came from money, okay? You can't, I tried, I bartended, I waitressed. There's no way I could pay for school and work for free and work too. And you gotta work because you need a roof over your head, right? And you gotta eat, and it's all about survival, you know?
Yeah.
So no, I say it's people who come from money get to.
Do you regret that you never became a vet?
Well, I can't regret it because it wasn't a possibility. How can you regret something that's not possible? I wanted to. Too bad I didn't get to.
Yeah.
Wished I could have.
You got to have some kind of support.
Well, sure.
Outside of just doing it. Yeah, I get what you're saying. And that's like the problem I have with the education system. Unless you have enough money to send your kid to a private school, your kid's just going to get the generic, you know what I mean?
Well,
they don't teach them how to balance a checkbook.
Hopefully not. I think they're getting better. But I do say every now and then you run into a good teacher that'll say one little thing that can open up your mind to just,
And I'm grateful my kids, all his teachers have been amazing. And I'm not saying, when I say education system, I'm definitely not saying teachers, because they mean well, their heart's in the right place. But when the government comes up with Common Core and says you have to teach kids this way and this, you're tying the teacher's hands.
Yeah, I don't know. I went to Catholic school. I went to Catholic school from 1st grade to 5th grade. Then I went to public school, and oh my God, that was like night and day, okay?
Back up though, why did you have to go from Catholic to public?
I was a nonconformist, okay?
Bucked authority.
I always bucked authority. I bucked my parents, I bucked the priests, I bucked the nuns. They had a lot of hoo-ha that I refused to swallow. I questioned everything they said. They didn't like that. It got to the point where I wanted out of their school so bad that I was just disrupting the class. I was put out in the gym for the whole semester. But, their whole motive was if they put me out in the gym all semester, I would not know what's going on in the classroom, right? Well, the teacher said, what does it matter? You don't pay attention to what's going on anyway. All you do is disrupt my class, so you're going to go spend the semester out in the gym. And her motive was that we're required to take annual tests. And if you do not pass these tests, first of all, you don't pass your grade, okay? So come test time, she gives me my test out in the gym. And I took this test and I scored 97%. I was number 3 in the class. And this teacher was livid. This nun was livid. She says, I'd had enough. I don't know what else to do. So she calls my parents to the school and she says, Mr. Kolchak, I just can't deal with her anymore. She's out of hand, and we're just not going to deal with her anymore. So I'm sorry to say, but we are going to expel her from St. John's Catholic School. Well, my father says, and I think he thought it was a little bit of leverage. He says to her, well, you realize I have 4 other children in this school.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a lot of tuition money. He says, if she has to go, I'm going to pull all of them out. And they said, well, I'm sorry you feel that way,
you were that
Mr.
bad.
Kolchak, but she is just not staying.
They thought you were so evil that they were like, we don't care.
They didn't care. They wanted me out, and I wanted out too. It was terrible. So then off to public school I went, and what a change that was. Oh, my God. I will say, even though I didn't pay attention to class.
What was the biggest difference?
They were way far behind, okay?
That's my point.
I went into 6th grade.